poppin' B? Purpok here, and welcome back to another episode of Race the Ramen, the show where I attempt to review something unscripted in the amount of time it takes to boil an instant ramen. And today, we're taking a look at Challengers, showing now in theaters. Alright, we're going to start the timer right now. Okay, so, Challengers. This wasn't a movie that was really on my radar, or it was. I was aware of it, but I wasn't really that interested in seeing it. Up to a point, all I was really seeing was commercials on YouTube and stuff, and those trailers weren't really doing a lot to entice me. I'm not a huge sports movie guy in general, and all I was really seeing for most of the promotion was Zendaya making out with two guys, which, you know, I can understand the appeal of that, but I didn't really understand what the movie was going for outside of that. Zendaya making out with guys and tennis. And even knowing the director attached, I was still hesitant to check this out. The director being Luca Guadagnino. I hope I pronounced that right. He's an Italian director, I believe. And I've only seen one of his films before, that being Bones and All from a year or two ago, which I really enjoyed, despite being Bones and All. And he's made a lot of other well-regarded movies. He made the Suspiria remake, Call Me By Your Name, lots of other things. And, I don't know. There were some talented people attached to this, but it just didn't seem like my thing, and I was going to let it drift by and kind of not really be a thing I pay attention to. Then the entire film community started saying it was amazing, saying it was just pure cinema, and that people need to go out and see it. And I was like, okay. Now, normally, you know, positive word of mouth isn't all I need to get me to go see a movie. Like, I've heard lots of great things about lots of movies and still never watched them. But, I don't know. Everyone was giving a unanimous thumbs up to this movie, and I figured, okay, I'll go see the sexy tennis movie with Zendaya making out with two guys if I must. And as it turns out, it is actually quite a very good movie. A well-scripted, well-paced, unique, interesting, and gripping, well-presented story of romance, personal drama, and I guess the thin line between tennis and sex. And I dare not spoil more because, honestly, I'm starting to see why the trailers didn't really do it for me, because I don't know if you can do this movie justice with a brief commercial. Like, the premise on its own sounds pretty basic. That Zendaya is a professional tennis player, and she's got two guys gunning for her affection. That's the impression I got from all the marketing anyway, but that's not really what it is. It's a non-linear, time-hopping narrative where you basically get to see the trajectory of a broken friendship between three people who are kind of like codependent on each other. And it's simultaneously like really emotionally intense, really like sensual, and, you know, kind of sexual and all that. Am I allowed to say that word on YouTube anymore? Whatever. But I was really surprised by Challengers. Pretty much everything about it knocked me back a bit. The score was really good. You got Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, and whenever the music kicks in, it always heightens the scene really well. There's also a lot of moments where they know not to use music and let the visuals and the emotions and performances speak for themselves. And the performances are really good. There's a lot of little performances in this that are all solid, but the main three really kill it. This is no question the best performance I've ever seen out of Zendaya. I never thought she was a bad actress, but I was kind of waiting for her to show me all her stuff, like from an acting perspective, because I'd just been waiting for her to come out and do a role where it didn't feel like she was just kind of, sorry to say it, kind of being pushed out as like an attractive heartthrob actress. And again, can you blame me when I see this movie and I see Mike Faced and Josh O'Connor and Zendaya sitting on that bed? I'm like, oh, this is going to be just some teen makeout movie. But no, it's an emotionally destructive, intelligently thought out teen makeout movie It also happens to be about success, sportsmanship, friendship, love, intimacy, and all kinds of things. It was also pretty funny. I saw this with my girlfriend, and we were like having a giggling good time at a bunch of different scenes, and then just like recoiled back in shock at other scenes. This movie did a lot to surprise me, and overall, it's just genuinely a really well put together and uniquely executed sports romance drama thing. You should see Challengers. Hopefully that gives you a decent impression of what I think of the movie. I feel like I had to spoil a little bit of the experience just to kind of inform people why this movie is worth seeing. Because again, I know I've said it like 3 times at this point, but the ads aren't doing it any favors. And they're not even really bad trailers or anything. It's just sometimes you can't really sell an experience easily in a short allotted amount of time. That's kind of the whole consensus for Race the Ramen. But anyway, I just want to say that if you have heard about this movie and you were a little iffy, maybe for similar reasons that I was, or you just weren't really interested, I would recommend checking it out. If you can handle, some steamy, sensual scenes of people making out and a little bit of sex, then by all means go for it. If you're one of those people that doesn't like that stuff, don't see this. But that's my only real qualifier. It's a genuinely gripping, well-made, really well-presented, well-shot, well-acted movie. And it happens to be the sexy Zendaya tennis movie. Everyone in it is great. Zendaya has proven herself to me as a genuine great actress. This and Dune 2, we're going to put her on the map, I think. I mean, she was already on the map, but you know what I mean. I'm rambling now. And you should just go see this movie. If you're interested, absolutely. If you weren't interested, maybe see it anyway, because I wasn't, and I was knocked back. I give Challengers a 9 out of 10. I'd say it's closer to an 8 than a 10. I have little problems with it, and maybe some of these would vanish or maybe worsen on rewatch. But as it stands, this is one of the best movies that I have seen in 2024 so far, and I can easily recommend it to basically anybody.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And today we'll be taking a look at Unfrosted, showing now on Netflix. Alright, we're going to start the timer right now. Okay, so Unfrosted, or should I say Jerry Seinfeld's Unfrosted, because while you didn't make the whole thing by his damn self, this very much feels like Jerry's movie. Unfrosted is a comedy film on Netflix that just came out recently, directed by, partially written by, partially produced by, and starring Jerry Seinfeld. Alongside loads of other comedic actors, you've got Melissa McCarthy, Jim Gaffigan, Bill Burr, just countless cameos and big name actors who can all be pretty funny. And they're all starring together in one of the most unfunny, waste of time comedies I've ever seen in my entire life. Unfrosted is terrible, and I'm actually kind of amazed at how terrible it is. It's not the worst comedy I've ever seen, but I don't know if I've seen one fail in this specific manner before, because, God, there's just so much wrong with this. It's so strange, Jerry Seinfeld, I don't love him, but lots of people love Seinfeld, the show, and he has a long and illustrious career as a comedian and as an actor, and this is his, directorial debut, a feature film at the age of, 70. And this also all comes after he recently made a bunch of comments in the press about how he's upset or, noticing that people can't do comedy anymore because of the woke left or whatever. And if these statements had anything to do with like preempting the negative reaction to this movie, that would make a lot of sense. Otherwise, I can't really see those statements being too connected because this isn't a political movie, Unfrosted. I'd barely call it a movie. Unfrosted is a fictionalized retelling of the story of how Pop-Tarts were invented. And that premise alone should make you question, just on a base level, why you'd even want to watch any version of that movie. Like, corporate biopics have been a trend for the last year or two, and they've mostly been whatever, or not that good. I love Blackberry by Matt Johnson, and a lot of people seem to agree that's like one of the best, if not the best, of that recent trend. This feels like a parody of that, but a bad one. Like, not only is it not funny in the way the jokes are written, and the timing is off, which is compounded by like really choppy, like just really poor editing. The whole thing just feels like asleep. It feels dead. I've seen people describe comedy movies as like, oh, it feels like a bad SNL sketch, or it feels like a long SNL sketch. Never have I watched a movie where that felt more true. There is no plot. They pretend there's a plot and that there are stakes, but the movie is just so low stress, low energy. It never feels like anything matters. Even towards the end, when a bunch of cereal mascots are running a January 6th style Capitol storming rampage against the Kellogg's building, complete with the shaman horns on Hugh Grant, Tony the Tiger, and everything, it somehow isn't funny, despite it being so ridiculous, and it still doesn't feel like it's saying anything. Nothing really comes to a point. Jerry Seinfeld's character in the movie, his motivation is like, I don't want our company to go under, and I want new sod for my front lawn and to send my kids to college. Kids we don't see towards the end. Kids that we don't see until towards the end. It's just, I'm literally just trying to remember most of this movie, and it's failing me. I laughed maybe once or twice, chuckled a few times, and smirked at a number of concepts that were presented as jokes, but oh my god, this is seriously just one of the most unfunny movies I've watched in so long. I stared at this movie for like the first 30 minutes in almost total silence, just like being like, is this really what I'm watching? Is this actually the movie? It's crazy. It's loaded with like obnoxious product placement, not even for Pop-Tarts, but for like all kinds of stuff. And additionally, if you actually did care about the Pop-Tarts story, this has nothing to do with how it really happened. So the whole story is bullshit. There's no real parody being made, no real satire. And even if it is sometimes funny, that is really sometimes, and most of the times it is groan-worthy lame as shit. Horrible everything. I hate this movie. Hopefully that gives you a decent impression of what I think of the movie. It really is just one of the most, like, joyless experiences I've had in a long time that just left me really cold. Like, I just don't even really understand what the motivation behind this movie was. To make a movie with some easy product placement, perhaps? Or maybe Jerry just doesn't know how to make a movie. It's totally possible. I'm not saying Jerry Seinfeld has no talent, but the man has not been on Seinfeld for like 20-something years, and he's done almost nothing but stand-up, and here he is at 70 being like, oh, I'm the authority on comedy. This is why things don't work anymore, even though there's tons of like boundary breaking and like transgressive comedy that's still successful out there, tons of things. And then he gives us this like limp, wet noodle nothing of a production that you could gain almost nothing from watching. I sat through the whole damn movie and I feel like I pretty much just wasted my time. And I don't say that about many movies. It just feels like it has so little to offer you in any regard, substance-wise or comedy-wise. It's like a movie you put on in the background and then just don't pay attention to. It's a movie you either put on and don't watch, or one that you don't put on and don't watch, which is the better option I suggest for all of you. I would not recommend Jerry Seinfeld's Unfrosted. In fact, I want to give this movie a 2 out of 10. So I will. I'm giving this movie a 2 out of 10. The only reason it's not a 1 is because I did laugh a few times, and as a comedy, that is its objective. But for real, as just a general viewing experience, and especially as a comedy, this blows hard. Like, I don't even love Melissa McCarthy, but this has got to be some of the worst performance of any type I've seen out of her. Jerry Seinfeld just can't direct, I guess, because even with all these people together, all of their ideas bouncing off of each other, it just feels like a long, boring conversation with one unfunny guy. And that unfunny guy's name is Jerry fucking Seinfeld. Don't watch Unfrosted, watch anything else. And seriously, Jerry, why do we care what you think about comedy? First of all, you're Jerry Seinfeld. 2, no, that's it. That's all I got. Why do I care what Jerry Seinfeld thinks?